Hi, welcome to Branch Preparedness. I thought I'd use this opportunity to thank you for not only watching the channel, I appreciate it, but also an opportunity to go over something I'm working on right now, not only for my family, but for myself. Um, this is in regards to first aid, also referred to as IFAK, Individual First Aid Kit, in case for those who are not familiar with that term. Recently, my son and I, we were out making an errand run, and we come across a car that had just flipped over in the highway. And as customarily, I usually try to help out if I can. We pulled over, and the woman was trapped in the car, and we ended up, some other bystanders pulled over, and we were able to get the woman out of the car. Emotionally, she was shaken up, but physically, no harm, so that was good. But as I got back in the car and I was describing to my son what had happened, because I left him with the car because I wasn't aware of what the situation or how bad, and I didn't want another individual to be in that harm's way at that moment, especially my son. So, but we talked about it, and it made me think about first aid in general. I usually carry some sort of first aid kit in my car, but in that situation, it made me kind of really go back and look at different situations that could occur in that type of situation. So as I started re-looking at my own kit in my car, it pretty much carried over to my home. In case you hear it, my dog is sneezing in the background over here, so I apologize for that in case you hear it. Um, but in regards to first aid, it's really something that is individual, or it should be individual. There's so much information in time we live and on YouTube and chats and things that it can really get out of hand really quick. And unfortunately, when you go to the store and you try to buy a first aid kit, a lot of times, you end up with 100 Band-Aids and maybe a couple aspirin or something. So they're not really that good. You have ones that you come in that little kits like that, um, little individual kits that there again, about 100 Band-Aids that are not really, what you're looking for. So I highly recommend that you make your own kit if you can. With that being said, you don't want to walk around either with a first aid kit like this. Um, this is very substantial. It's a lot of things in here that I'll have another video that I'll go over this with you to show what it is. But also, one of the things is just weight. And so, if you're carrying this, you can imagine um, it wouldn't be an ideal situation. With conveyance, having a car, if you had a motorcycle, or if you're out and about, and you had other ways of doing it, this is a good item to have. But for individuals, it's not a way to go. It gets pretty cumbersome. Then you break it down, and you have ones like these, which are good. It's a nice case, but there again, when you buy them, a lot of times, you're a lot of fluff. You're just putting in this stuff. But what I found that has been beneficial for me is I just make my own. This is one I just used a waterproof pouch. Um, I used orange duct tape. The reason for it is because that way, this, as you can tell, it lays down pretty flat. It's not as small as what this one is that we'll address in a moment. Um, but it lays flat, so it doesn't take up a lot of space, as you can see. And let me just take a moment and go through how I break down my kits, and this may be of benefit to you, and I hope it is. So it looks like a lot of stuff when you pull out, but it's really not. So I break my kit down, the first aid, into 4 categories. And I found that, for one, it helps me not to overpack because it helps me look and address those situations that I'm going to be facing. And it helps me to really dial down and not have an abundance of one thing over the other. We've become accustomed within COVID, within the last couple of years, of having hand sanitizer. It's good to have because, for one, you keep for sterilizing your hands. If you were going to work on someone, for first aid, that's one thing you want to do. You want to make sure you have clean hands. Another item that I keep in here is what we call, in fact, let me just break it down and then we'll go over it. This is the tool bag. And in the tools, I have just some trauma shears, um, um, tweezers, and some latex gloves. And those, like I said, latex gloves is for your protection as well as others that you may be administering first aid to. With that being said, let me pause for a moment and just tell you that I'm not a doctor. I'm not an emergency tech person. I have had CPR and basic first aid training. I've taken some wilderness first aid as well. But normally I'm just a guy. You know what I mean? I'd like to take some more first aid. There are some areas that I'd like to become better trained at that I don't feel at this point that um, I have the right training for. And that's important to recognize when you go through this stuff. Is for one, don't carry items that you don't know how to use. That's important because we can do a lot of stuff, and like tourniquets is one that comes out. And if you notice in this little kit here, I don't have a tourniquet. It's not that I don't know how to use it. I have been trained, and in my big kit, I have one that I keep. And but the most of the time in my situation and items that I come in contact or situations that I would come in contact with, I don't have firearms, so I'm not worried about massive bleeding. To be honest, most of the scenarios that I feel that I'm going to face is going to be sprains, um, uh, like skinning your knee, maybe breaking an arm, breaking a leg, cuts. Um, and what I have here, I can address those items. If it's massive, where a tourniquet would be used, I have other items in my kit, but I don't have a dedicated tourniquet in this kit. In these kits, I do have them, just for the record. And it's no big deal if I feel like in a situation I can take one with me. So just because you don't see it, don't think that it's not available. It's just for my normal everyday use, I don't have one in this particular kit. When I break these down, first I label one is called pharmacy. Then I have one titled wound care. I have one as bandages, and as we address tools. And on each one of these, taking for example pharmacy, I have a list on the outside of this little baggie, as you can see, a list of all the different medications that I have in here. For myself, I take a baby aspirin because in the past I've had some strokes, and that keeps my health my blood thins to help regulate that. So when you're putting your kit together, think of what you're going to come in contact with. Maybe you have items that you need to have. Like, for example, I have some Tums in here. Every now and then, I get reflux or something. I'll eat something. If I eat green peppers or something spicy, maybe I'll get some reflux. That's just a couple. I don't have a whole bottle of any of these things, as you can see. I just keep the larger supplies here at home, and then I take these little bags that you can buy at Walmart. I got these at CVS, for example. They're just little pill bags. And I break down a couple doses of what I think may be of benefit to me or someone else that I may be assisting. Like for myself, or for example, my wife, she can't take aspirin. So we have Tylenol for her. So, and that's on here. So, and I have a couple doses. So for Tylenol, I have enough for probably like 4 doses, 2 each time. So there's probably 8 tablets in regards to that. But as you can see, and I can take these out, it doesn't, some of the things I may not use every time, but sometimes a couple tablets, they don't take up any space. It's good to just have. Okay, that's the pharmacy. For wound care, there again, labeled right on the front. I have different things. I have some moleskin, because when we're hiking, a lot of times you can wear blisters if you're not wearing proper shoes or socks or footwear. Alcohol pads, a couple of different triple antibiotic, Vaseline, uh, things like that. So just basic wound care. It's also good for burns, things of that nature. So that's for that. For bandages, the biggest bandage I have in here is probably a 4x4 piece of cotton gauze. I only have one of those because I don't feel that for what I have or what I'm going to be injured for, I do carry in my bags normally a piece of cotton, a shamag, for different purposes. We'll address that in another video. The most of like the regular Band-Aids, I have 3 of them. The only reason why I regularly carry those is because I have children. And to be honest, they're going to skin their knees or get a bloody nose, or you wouldn't use a Band-Aid on a nose, but skin their knees or a stab or something, or something to where nothing major. Knuckle bandages for myself, I feel, for cuts, if you're using knives. So just be thoughtful when you're putting this together. You don't need 100 Band-Aids, okay? There again, this pack I'm showing you here is actually one that I put together, but it's for a couple of people, not just one, as we will address here. So breaking it down in those type of categories, there again, pharmacy, wound care, bandages, and your tools, when you put it together, something that stands out right away. So if you would direct it someone to go get it, they can find it in your pack pretty easily. Okay, so you can see me putting it together. Not too bad. Okay, now for me individually, if it's just me going out in my pack, okay, I have enough where I can care for myself, but I can also take care of someone else too. Not to the extent of this, because I don't see a need to carry all that. If you get in a situation where you really need medical help, hopefully you have your cell phone with you, or someone with you has that. So you want to make sure, there again, reach out and get medical help. So that's important. Also, when you go out on your own, make sure to leave itinerary with whoever your loved one is and let them know where you are, where you're going to be, when you should return, so that way you have someone looking out for you as well. Okay, so this little small kit, I kind of just like the kit. What came in this, I bought it. It was garbage. Probably there again, 100 Band-Aids. Um, Not good. But I did like the little case. It was small enough for what I wanted to do, so I repurposed it. So I'll go through it real quick. There again, a little hand sanitizer. Instead of tape, instead of this, which is big and bulky, I always carry with me duct tape because it has multiple purposes, and we'll address that in another video. But it's usually it's a good fire starter. It's good for bandages. I can make sutures with it. A lot of different things. So we'll go over that in another one. Okay, some triple antibiotic. And if you don't know how to use this information or use the stuff I'm pulling out, research it. Take some time, learn, get to know how to use it. What is it used for? If you don't know, make sure to learn it before you pack it. Because again, don't pack stuff you don't know how to use. Because it's not going to really benefit you, and it's just weight, and it's a waste. So if you don't know how to use it, there again, it's just taking up space. Okay. All right. So this little case. First thing, as you can see, is I have just a couple little latex gloves. That's really for my protection, and also for the patient, whoever you're working on. That way you're not passing on germs. Between that and the hand sanitizer, pretty good. So that works. The other thing is just, there again, just a couple little packets. There, I could use the little pill bags that we showed before. I could break it down. These, I just happen to have individual portions that you can buy already, serving size, or not serving size. How many you're supposed to take at a time? I can't think of the word. Okay, but we have a couple of aspirin. There again, Tylenol, Imodium. That's good to have for diarrhea, especially if you're going out in the woods and you eat something, or it's nothing worse than ruining a good experience because of having a bad experience. Alcohol prep, a couple little things of moleskin, a couple little Band-Aids. There again, because I have kids, and you never know, especially with kids. A couple knuckle bandages, because that to me is where a lot of times any type of finger injury, if you don't bandage correctly, those bandages seem to pop off easily. So I addressed that. Also, a couple pieces of gauze. These are 2x2s, nothing bad, but there again, it helps me just stuff a wound in case. But so between this and some duct tape, I can cover pretty much a bigger size wound. Also, a nice thing about it, having hand sanitizer, wipes, duct tape. Also makes good fire starters for all this stuff, even with the Vaseline and cotton ball. That can be another video, but it's tons of videos on YouTube in regard to making fire with those items. Pair of tweezers, and in case you get a splinter, a tick, things of that nature. Actually, dedicated fingernail clippers, only because I have a tendency sometimes to get hangnails, and it's just easy for me to clip them, and it don't take up any room, so it's not a big deal. Lastly is just these little towelettes you can buy. You add water to them, it makes a big towel. It's good for cleanup, so if you have a mess, you have something to address those. I just put a couple of those. But like I said, this is just my kit. I'm not telling you what to put in yours. This is just some suggestions. But what I would recommend is that you take some time while things are calm and there's no anxiety, no stress, and look at what you have in your own home. Do you have a first aid kit that you can go to readily and without having to go through all this stuff, trying to find things? Do you have something to where readily you can go to? And, mark it. Like the same thing we do with our packets here. Take time, make it easy to understand. So even a child, if they can read, you can tell them, go get the pharmacy bag. You don't need 100 pills laying around. Put a couple doses in a little kit, and then that way you have it handy. Do the same thing in your car, and that's what these are. And like I said, a separate video, I'm going to go over what we do for a car. But this just prompted me to relook at how I did my first aid kit. And I thought it'd be something that each one of us, when you look at your own home, your own family, or just for yourself, it can be overwhelming, and it doesn't have to be. Yes, there are a lot of things that you may carry if you're an outdoorsman that you say, well, I can do that with this, and there are, duct tape you can use for Band-Aids. You carry a cotton cloth or chamois, and you can use that for 1,000 uses, and that's all well and good, and I carry those items myself. But when the chips is really down and you have an emergency, you really need to do something right now. Rather than trying to make something, it's really easy to pull out a little Band-Aid, piece of gauze, and fix yourself up. So it's not a big deal. So with that in mind, hopefully you've learned something, and I hope that it can be of benefit to you, to your family. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you again for watching, and we'll be back with you soon with another video. Thank you.